How's it guys, and welcome to Ultimate Exotics. Today we're going to do a cool video on a very special colubrid that we really enjoy working with. And when I say colubrid, what that term is, it's a term that we use to describe one of the largest families of snakes in the world, which consists of king snakes, milk snakes, corn snakes, house snakes, and a lot of other non-venomous species all fall under that family colubrid. And at Ultimate Exotics we probably have one of the largest collections of colubrids in Africa, which we're very passionate about. We absolutely love working with them, and most people when they start out keeping snakes, it always ends up being a colubrid. But today we're going to talk about and do this video on a very special colubrid which falls under the milk snake group, and that is the Sinaloan milk snake. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Sinaloan milk snake is, it's probably one of the most iconic milk snake species. When you think of the word milk snake, or when you hear the word milk snake, the first image that comes to mind is often an image of a Sinaloan milk snake. What is so special about the Sinaloan milk snakes is that they retain their bright colors from hatchlings right into adulthood. There's a lot of milk snake species that don't do that. For example, your Pueblan milk snakes, or some of your wild type Honduran milk snakes. They're born very bright with beautiful colors, but as they get older, those colors develop black pigment in them, and it becomes quite a dark snake as an adult. But Sinaloan milk snakes, even the wild types, they stay that beautiful bright red color, and they retain their colors right through to adulthood, which is what makes them so special. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about them. We're going to teach you about how to care for them, and then we'll have a look at a few cool morphs that we're working with at Ultimate Exotics. So let's go check it out. Alright guys, so now it's time to have a look at some of the awesome Sinaloan milk snakes that we have here at Ultimate Exotics. What we'll start out with is we'll have a look at one of our adult normals here. This is one of our males, just so you can get an idea of how big they get as an adult. And yeah, these guys get quite big, and as you'll see with most milk snakes, they're not the slowest colubrid to work with. They can be quite jumpy and quite quick, and it's just something that you have to get used to. But the Sinaloan milk snakes, they aren't quick to bite, so there's very few cases where they actually end up biting us. And also with a bit of time and a bit of patience, they can get used to handling. But you can see this is the size of an adult. The adult size is probably maximum around 1.2 meters, and they don't get bigger than that. And in a bit we'll have a look at how we keep them, and the cages and the size of the cages that we use to keep them. But yeah, these guys, they naturally occur in the lowlands of northwest Mexico. So they come from quite a dry and arid environment. But you can just see, like I was explaining earlier, the colors of these, they maintain that bright red color and beautiful milk snake colors right into adulthood. They don't darken out, which is what makes them so popular. But yeah, and then with regards to feeding, we feed these guys mostly rat fuzzies. They really seem to like rats, even more so than mice. You just got to be careful not to feed them too often, as they can get quite fat on the rat pups or rat fuzzies, but they really do seem to like them a lot. In this guy you can see how much they move, and that is just normal of a milk snake. But yeah, we feed them once a week on the frozen thawed, and they move over to frozen thawed very easily as babies, and we have very little trouble with the babies with them eating. They eat really well. But yeah, this is a beautiful male, and now we're going to have a look at some of the mutations. And then what's also cool is we have a very cool clutch of some of the Sinaloans hatching, so we'll take a look at those babies as well. So let's start off with the mutations. Okay, so one of the exciting things about the Sinaloan milk snake is all the upcoming morphs that there are. And what makes it really interesting is that there are so many different colors and also pattern variations that are now coming through. And at Ultimate Exotics, we're lucky to have many of those that are available. So what we looked at earlier was this big normal boy. That's the wild type. That's how they look in the wild. And then we'll start off with the most common mutation, and this is the T- albino. So if you come and have a look here, the T- albino. It's a recessive mutation, and what it does is it is lacking in dark melanin, so it makes this beautiful reds there's no black pigment in it whatsoever, and the black pigment all goes to white, and the red just intensifies to this beautiful intense orangey red color. So that is the T- albino. That's a recessive mutation. So if you breed this to a normal, you'll get all normals out and they'll be 100% het T- albino. Okay, and then now we have a different strain of albino. This is the T+ albino. And you can see this actually has a slight amount of dark pigment in it, which gives it these incredible purple colors where it would normally be black. It's very unusual but striking colors, and the white is very white. The reds are incredibly red, and then the black goes to this incredible, almost purple-like color. It's also a recessive mutation in the Sinaloan Milk Snake, and this is still one of the newer mutations, but it is just so beautiful. We can't wait to breed more of these. Then we go to a more simple mutation, but it's also recessive, and we're also excited to see what we can do with this mutation in the future. And what this is just a simple hypomelanistic mutation. So this is a hypo-Sinaloan, also recessive, and what it does, it just gives it this faded type of appearance with reduced black pigment. And then we have a little guy here which we hatched out this year on another recessive mutation. This mutation is quite interesting. It's called the splotched mutation, and it is also recessive, but it affects the pattern, and then it also has a pied marking, and when I say pied, it means a lack of all pigment on its nose and also the tip of its tail. And this little guy we hatched out this year, just check how beautiful he is. They are just so amazing. He's got spots down his back. They either have spots or stripes, and if you can see the tip of his nose there, it's got a pied nose there. So it's white on the tip of his nose. And another beautiful mutation. And what we're looking at doing in the future is mixing some of these mutations together and making some incredible combos. But it just drives interest, and yeah, it makes it exciting at the variations that we can work with in the species of milk snake. Okay, so with Sinaloan milk snakes, there's a lot of different ways you can keep them. Some people choose, if they have them as a pet, a single pet, you can keep them in a nice reptile display cage. And then there's also a lot of different types of cages that you can buy to keep them in. They're actually a very hardy milk snake species, and they do well as long as you meet a few simple requirements. Because of the quantities that we keep them all separately. The most effective way of keeping them is in a rack system like this, and we have them in a 26-liter Addis tub, which is the ideal size for them. And there's a few very important things, and the first thing is they've got to have a good heat gradient. So at the back of these racks we have heat cable running along the back, which provides a warm area of around here of around 29 degrees Celsius. It can go up to about 31, but you want to keep it at about 29 to 31 degrees Celsius. Then and then obviously the other side of the enclosure needs to be room temperature, which we keep at around 25 degrees Celsius. That gives them an ideal heat gradient, which they can then choose to where they would like to be. And that's the most important thing, is when you're heating an enclosure, the animal needs to be able to get away from the heat to a cooler area if need be. Then we have our Ultimate Exotics Reptile water bowl. It also acts as a hide, and these guys love to hide under here. They crawl through that hole there, and they spend a lot of time under that water bowl, you'll find when you open them up. And here we have one of our adult female splotched Sinaloans, and you can see, like we were showing you earlier with the smaller ones, how's the pied tail. They're really beautiful. And then as you can see, we use a nice natural wood shaving. It hasn't been treated at all, and this wood shaving works really well. You can also use like a pine wood chips or a bark wood chips. As long as it's a natural wood product that hasn't been treated, it works really well. It allows them to burrow, and it's also easy to spot clean when they make a mess. And yeah, it's a good way of keeping it nice hygienic. So this is a nice, simple but very effective way of keeping them, and they really do well and they thrive in here. Okay, so when it comes to breeding Sinaloan milk snakes, there's a few things that you need to know. Firstly, it takes them around about 2 years to mature. Normally it takes a bit longer for the females to mature than the males, but normally it's around, on average, 2 years until you start breeding them. Another important thing to ensure good fertility in eggs is to give them a good brumation period. And what brumation is basically a cooling period where we reduce the temperatures and lighting to the temperature we do to around 12 degrees Celsius and maximum, we don't let it get above 15 degrees. So minimum 12 degrees Celsius, maximum 15 degrees Celsius, and we do that for a period of around 2 months. Now, it's also important to remember before we put them into that brumation period that we have to clear their gut, because during that time their metabolism is not going to be working. So you want to make sure that they have nothing left in their gut, no food at all. So we don't feed them for about 2 weeks, or even sometimes up to 3 weeks prior to brumation, to make sure they have nothing in their stomachs. And then what we do is we gradually lower the temperature until we reach those temperatures. We also make sure there's no lighting, we make it nice and dark, and all they're going to have for that 2-month period is fresh, clean drinking water. Then after that 2-month period, we slowly start increasing temperatures. You don't want to do anything suddenly. It must all be gradual, similar to how it is naturally. And then what we do is we slowly start feeding a small meal until we then eventually have full-size meals and back into a normal feeding routine. After that, that generally takes a few weeks, and then they have a shed, and then we start pairing. We start putting the males with the females, and then mating occurs. Generally, from the time you start pairing them and you see mating, it takes around 2 months to get the first eggs. And prior to the female laying eggs, she's going to go into the blue and have a pre-lay shed, which is normally 2 weeks before she lays those eggs. And that's the time we then put the egg-laying box in the enclosure, which will just be basically like a 2-liter ice cream tub filled with sphagnum moss with a hole in the top. So basically it's a nice damp hide, not wet, just a damp hide on the warm spot, which will be about 29 degrees Celsius, and she will lay her eggs in that box. Once she has laid those eggs, we then remove the eggs and put them into an incubation box with vermiculite, and we then incubate them at about 29 degrees Celsius, and it takes 60 days for the babies to hatch. And here we have exactly that happening. We have some beautiful babies hatching, and these are the T- albino Sinaloans, and these are hatching today at Ultimate Exotics. So we're very chuffed with these babies. Look how beautiful they are. The T- albino is just such a bright mutation, and you can see over here this little baby, he's just coming out. And it's going to take these guys about 2 days for the whole clutch to hatch, and then we'll separate them into their individual containers. And then it will take about 2 weeks from there. They'll have their first shed, and then we start feeding. And this little guy is also still in the egg here. See his beautiful coloration there. So yeah, I'm very happy with this clutch. Some beautiful babies. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching our video. I hope you learned something about these incredible milk snakes, the Sinaloan Milk Snakes. We really enjoy working with them, and we hope to breed lots of really nice varieties in the future to make available for everyone. Thanks very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.